Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Are you ready to reach for the stars? Tune in to The Lost Wanderer, the #1 monthly podcast on good pods in astronomy. Join our host, Jeff, as he takes you on an interstellar adventure to explore the mysteries of space and the wonders of science. From rocket launches and distant galaxies to the latest discoveries in astronomy, each episode is a thrilling ride through the cosmos. Don't just gaze at the stars. Come explore the universe with us. Follow The Lost Wanderer wherever you get your podcasts, and let's discover the stars together.
My dad was really, really special, and I loved my dad a lot.
I'm proud of him, and that even though he isn't here with us, but he died as a true hero.
I miss everything about him.
In the moment that the officers and I had to come see the children, my biggest reaction was, I don't have 7 arms. I have 7 children who just lost their father, and I don't have 7 arms to wrap around them.
I'm Frank Silla, chairman of the Stephen Silla Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Our foundation is committed to delivering mortgage-free homes for Gold Star families and fallen first responder families.
To not have to worry financially is a huge peace of mind. The thought of, what in the world will I possibly do to pay the bills? How will I possibly let the children have a life that feels normal? I don't want them to have to quit their piano lessons or their basketball. I don't want them to feel that we have to move into a little apartment and struggle financially in addition to the emotional weight.
There are over 1,000 families that need our help. Tunnel to Towers is honoring those heroes that risked their lives by providing them with mortgage-free homes.
Those who serve us and then lay down their lives protecting our freedoms and our safety, the least we can do is $11 a month to give them that peace of always knowing there's a home, there's that sanctuary when life feels like it's been tipped upside down, because it has, when you lose a parent in the line of duty, to know you can go home, you can be safe, there's no risk of losing your home. That's a peace of mind that I can't believe you can get for $11 a month.
I'd like to ask you to contribute $11 a month to support their efforts.
Please donate $11 a month by calling 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Our government was established to secure these rights and for the good that comes from exercising them well. This is why the founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire. Hillsdale College, pursuing truth and defending liberty since 1844.
Ready to learn some medieval combat, kiddo? You bet, Dad. Let's do this.
You know, spending quality time with your kids is important, but finding a fun and safe way to do it can really be a challenge. That's where halberds come in. Halberds are the perfect way to bond with your kid while teaching them about history and physical fitness. Plus, they're a blast to play with. So next time you're looking for some family fun activity, grab a halberd and get ready to make some memories.
Come on, Dad. Round 2.
Halberds, bringing families together one medieval battle at a time. This commercial brought to you by the KLRNradio.com Ad Council.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
I take a breath, I'm not gonna lose. This is what I came here to do.
Keep on doing what you do, Rick. You're my favorite host. Favorite.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
Happy Sunday night, America, and welcome to the program. I am Rick Robinson. This is America Off the Rails, back now on our normal time, Sunday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here live on KLRNradio.com. And don't forget, I will not be here tomorrow. It's my full Monday off, where I plan on, full Monday off from radio stuff and trying to do some administrative stuff and trying to get the month started right with writing, because there have been several outlets that I have not written for at all, most of which are mine. So I can't, it's like, yeah, I'm really only hurting myself. So I can't be that mad about it. But anyway, so yeah, according to Andrew, he's already gotten his weekly dose of Rick chair dancing. But that's a daily dose kind of thing. I'm just saying, not to rip off the old morning show, but so no, I don't think I'm actually going to do this, but the reason it's called the title of the episode tonight is In Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. I've actually kind of been considering rebranding this show, because I don't know if America Off the Rails is going to be an appropriate title much longer. So I've always kind of toyed with the idea of bringing back the whole, Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood thing, but I'm sure Eddie Murphy and Saturday Night Live would probably excoriate me over that. So I'm stealing it for tonight anyway, because we get to learn a new word tonight, boys and girls. Can you say hypocrisy? I knew you could, because the left is just full of themselves and full of hypocrisy. And now all the zombie media is like, oh my God, Republicans are pouncing because Joe Biden pardoned Hunter Biden. Look, I'm going to be honest. As a father, I would struggle with that same decision. I really would. If I had the power to make it all go away with a stroke of a pen for one of my kids, I don't know if I could resist that temptation or not. I'm just being honest. I know that when I was faced with a similar situation with my oldest son, when I did not have the power of a pin to make it all magically go away, eventually I just had to let him figure some things out on his own. It's called tough love. It's a thing that sometimes parents have to do. And it sucks. It's harder on us than it ever is on the kids. And they never see it that way until years later. Because I was like, look, dude, we have tried to help you. We've tried to do all these things and it's not working. If anything, it's just making it worse. So in the long run, I don't think Joe Biden has done Hunter Biden any favors. But the hypocrisy in this all is he's not done yet. Wait till he pardons his brother. I want to see the left talking about how this makes sense when he pardons his brother, because when he pardons his brother, it's going to prove that there was smoke where there was fire where we saw smoke. And we know there was fire where we saw smoke because a sitting vice president, while on video at a private meeting, told everybody what a big shot badass he was by withholding funding to Ukraine until they fired a very specific prosecutor, which was looking into the company that his son just got hired in to work for. And nobody still really understands how and why he got that gig in the first place. But here we are. So, yes, it's hypocrisy. And no, there is no correlation between anything that's happened with Donald Trump and what's happening with Joe Biden, because Joe Biden has been crooked for as long as he's been in office, and everybody in DC knows it. Why do you think they're flipping out about Cash Patel? It's pretty easy. Cash Patel was the one that started showing them where the bodies were buried with a bunch of different things. That's why they don't want him back in there. That's why you've heard everybody in mainstream media just having kittens over the idea that he might actually be appointed to the FBI. You know what? I think he should be appointed to the FBI because I like his idea. He actually said in an interview once that on day one, if he was the director of the FBI, he would retire the Hoover Building and turn it into a museum. I like that idea. I think Washington, D.C. has wasted enough of our money for enough years that we need to start figuring out how to recoup our losses. And that's just the beginning. But that's not the only reason why I like that idea. The Democrats are power-hungry, warmongering assholes. The same things they always used to accuse us of being, and I will admit that for a time the Republicans were just about as bad. The problem is eventually we started waking up and going, look, dude, we can't. I mean, I talked about this on my show years ago. By the time I started this show, my son had already was like 5 years old when I started. Actually, hang on. When did I start this show? 16 years ago? Doing the math. So yeah, my son was 16 years ago would have put us to 2008. So my son would have been 8 years old around the time I started the show. The entire 8 years he's been alive, he was alive, we were at war. That starts to take a toll on everybody, except for the military-industrial complex. And now the problem is it's not even just the military-industrial complex anymore. This is why they're all panicking about all these appointments, because now it's the education-industrial complex. Now it's the medical-industrial complex. All of these things have figured out how to weave their way into each other. And Obamacare was one of the submitting methods that they used to do it. There is now so much government interconnectivity with your medical information. And I know this because I used to work for the University of Oklahoma in their Center for Public Management, and we handled secure information. I'm not going to disclose which department I used to work in within Center for Public Management because I told them I would never do that. I've kind of signed a non-disclosure, so I can't tell you. But I can tell you this. There were things that I couldn't talk about with certain people on the phones because it was considered a HIPAA violation. I will tell you this much. I did not work in the medical field. This is how far-reaching and cancerous all of this has become. This is why I've been trying to tell everybody, look, even if we get Donald Trump to do half the things that we really, really, really want and need Donald Trump to do, it's going to take the full 2 years to even get close to even starting to dismantle this monstrosity. And that's just the truth of it. And if you don't see exactly what this proves today with Joe Biden waiting until basically the beginning of a news cycle, that's the weirdest part about this. He did this at the beginning of a news cycle. There was absolutely nothing going on today. Even my impressions were down on X because I had nothing to do but just troll people. I've been going like gangbusters for days because there was news clip after news clip after news clip. And then right after everything reset, I was like, well, I'm going to have to work my ass off tomorrow. And then next thing I know, this story breaks, and all of a sudden I'm up to 20,000 impressions. And I've got over 22 hours to get to the rest of what I need to for the day because of this story breaking. I'm telling you right now, Joe Biden is doing everything he can to tear the Democratic Party apart on the way out the door. I don't think it's going to work as well as he hopes it's going to work with the folks that are really entrenched into the party, but there has been a really big split with the party, and he is tearing it apart from the inside out. And at this point, I think he's doing it on purpose. Now, I will admit, if he hadn't lied about it for months, I probably wouldn't have cared that he pardoned his kid. Because again, if I had a magic pen, I probably would have done it too. Let's just be honest. Anybody who tells you they won't is probably lying to you and lying to themselves. I would like to think that if it was a bad enough situation that I wouldn't, but I don't know because I've never had that magic pen before. My problem isn't that he did it. My problem is that he spent months yelling Judge Dredd style, "No one is above the law," except for Hunter, because now Hunter is officially above the law, and his brother is going to be above the law. But they're going to be above the law because that way they can't look into them for all the little connections. But the thing that I think that I think Joe Biden might have overlooked about all of this, and it's just me spitballing right now, because he might have tried, because I noticed when I was reading through the statement that there was something in there about him also being exempt from any future crimes. That's like the automatic get out of jail free card for almost anything. I want one of those. I'm just saying. So it's funny because in his pardon, Joe Biden basically recreated the exact deal that the judge threw away in the first place. It started all of this. But also because Hunter isn't able to be charged with anything anymore, he no longer has Fifth Amendment protection because he can't refuse to testify to keep from incriminating himself. So if there is in fact smoke there, Biden might be screwing up. Because since he worded it as such where even any future crimes that are uncovered later are covered under this pardon, at least that's my understanding from the few minutes that I was able to read that thing before I went on the air. We'll have a more deep dive on it Tuesday when I'm back on the Daily Show. But if that's the case, then that just took the Fifth Amendment off the table for Hunter Biden. And if he pardons his brother, that's going to do the same thing. But the thing that I think they're hoping is, since they can't hang it over their head anymore, are they going to flip on Joe? Because I'm telling you right now, if Hunter Biden had been sentenced, he would have flipped like the bitch that he is. That's why all of us were waiting to see what Joe was going to do. Because if Hunter Biden was risking going to jail, he would have flipped like a bitch. Faster than a bitch. He'd have flipped faster than a porn star changing positions to get to the B-roll shot. Just saying. Anyway. So, catching up with the chat. So, it covers 2014 to 2024. So, it would cover anything that gets uncovered for anything they've been looking into, just for the record, according to the chat. Also, according to Andrew, my kid would have never got caught because I taught him better. We all say that, brother. We all say that, brother. And then they get caught. And then we're like, what the hell, man? I mean, I don't know how long the Epstein. Sorry, I'm getting caught up with the chat, so I should probably put this up on the screen so everybody knows what I'm talking about. So I don't really know, because I don't know when the Epstein stuff started. But if it's Burisma Ford and the Epstein stuff was covered during that time frame, then it might actually exonerate him. It's an interesting thought. We'll see how that plays out. We'll see if they actually do what they say they're going to do, because as much as I love the fact that Donald Trump has been elected to office again, I don't trust these people to do half the things they're telling you they're going to do just to get you screaming and yelling and hooping and hollering on social media about how wonderful and awesome they are. I just don't. So I'm going to wait and see. But I would love for the Diddy list to get released, the Epstein list to get released. There's so many things that I want released. So many things. I have a Christmas list of things that should get released, and I might actually do that episode later this month and just go through the laundry list of all the things that I want made public. Not that I expect anybody like Cash Patel or anybody else to notice it yet, but I'm working on that too. Just saying. Oh, good point, Andrew. He was arrested in 2019. So, yeah, I think that's baked in immunity from that too. And it wouldn't surprise me if that's why they did what they did, how they did it. But again, I find it really interesting because, look, again, I don't even know very many Republicans that if he would have just been like, look, of course I'm going to pardon my son. He's my son. He's my last living son. I'm going to pardon my son. I'm the president. You'd fucking do it too. You know what? I'd have been like, I probably would. But he didn't do that. He spent years drawing parallels between the Hunter Biden case and the Donald Trump cases and talking about how he was going to prove that nobody was above the law because if they found his son guilty, he wasn't going to be interfering. Now you hear Joe Biden parroting the same things that Donald Trump's been screaming for years. The DOJ is corrupt. They targeted my son. They did this. They did that. So I'm confused. You telling me they targeted both sides? Because I might be a little less pissed off with the DOJ if that's the case. But I don't believe that to be the case because they know there's something there with Hunter Biden. You guys had to get creative with everything that you threw at Donald Trump. And that's the thing that I still can't make anybody understand that is on the left. All of these things have been adjudicated elsewhere, and he was found not guilty for half the things that they're screaming at him about. They had to get creative with how the financing worked to get him for the stuff in New York. They had to get creative with the valuation of the property to get him for the property tax or the money issue in New York. They had to get creative to get him in Georgia. I don't want people doing legal gymnastics to go after people just because they disagree with them. That's not what our legal system was founded upon. Which is why, if you remember, there is an archive when they first started talking about how they were going to go after Hunter Biden for failing to sign his form properly or to disclose his addiction problem on his background check form. I was like, look, that's not anything that's ever been used in the way that we're talking about. And I'm not sure I agree with that. But I also know if the shoe was on the other foot, they'd fucking do it to us. So I'm on the fence. And I've been on the fence ever since. There's no sense in lying about it because it's just the truth. But while we're talking about all the hypocrisy and all the lovely things that have been breaking today, let's take a look at a couple things here once I get them queued up here. And then I've got something kind of fun to go out with if I have time, since it is a weekend show. Try to have a little bit of fun on the weekends, at least when the news hasn't gone nuts like it just did on me, like right as I was starting to do show prep. So anyway, give me just a moment here. All right, so here's the report from ABC News as it was happening.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis at ABC News headquarters here in New York. We're coming on the air this hour with breaking news. President Biden has just pardoned his son Hunter on gun and tax charges that he was facing. The president reversed his previous position. He had long said that he would not pardon Hunter, expressing faith in the justice system and the rule of law. President Biden was emphatic, telling our David Muir this summer that he would not pardon his son when he was directly asked. And Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre told reporters on Monday that the president had spoken on the issue. ABC's chief Washington correspondent Jonathan Karl joins us now on the phone. And John, does this come as a surprise to you?
Lindsay, frankly, it doesn't come as a surprise to me. I know President Biden, as you said, was emphatic when he told David Muir that he would not pardon his son Hunter. The White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, was asked this many times over the following several months after that interview, and she reiterated there were, that a pardon was off the table. But look, this is the president's son. It comes on the day after that Donald Trump was announced that Cash Patel would be his FBI director. a move that signaled that Donald Trump's administration would be taking seriously the idea of retribution on his political enemies. I don't think that there will be many people.
All right, gotta stop you there for a minute, Skippy. It's not retribution on political enemies when they really were out to get him. Let's just be honest with that here. So that's not what this was. You can say it was, you can talk about how it was, but that wasn't what it was. That was 1,000% not what it was. Let's just be real. If there is anything that happens to the DOJ to go after these people, they'll be going after the people that use the rule of law inappropriately, that created new categories of laws that weren't technically on the books in the way that they were used, that used federal charges to dovetail into state charges, which a county district attorney should never have had the authority to use. I know they don't use the word county in New York. I think it's borough, but still. You guys know what I mean. All of this is just nuts. All right, let's go ahead and finish out the tape. But I just wanted to fact check ABC News right there on the spot, because it's not retribution when you're going after people that broke the law to try to take out your political enemies. And that's exactly what they did. And just as a reminder for anybody that's about to scream at me that didn't happen, the number 3 for the DOJ would not take a downward position at a district attorney's office if it wasn't at someone's direct request to go get him. Let's just be real.
Democrats, Republicans, Americans that are surprised that Joe Biden decided that his son, facing these two separate investigations, two separate trials, two separate convictions, would decide that he would pardon his son at this point.
And what kind of punishment would Hunter have faced had his dad not pardoned him?
He faced the possibility of significant jail time. I mean, these were both serious charges. The tax trial out in California, the gun charges in Delaware, both faced the possibility of sentences, and he was facing sentencing later this month. Both could have resulted in jail time. And look, Joe Biden knows his son Hunter is somebody who is a recovering drug addict. The idea of serving time in prison could well have been a death sentence to him. This was, I know that that Joe Biden has said at times that he lost one of his sons. He lost Bo to brain cancer, and he has confided to people, "I'll be damned if I'm going to lose another one." And I think he had real concerns about the possibility that his son could face prison time. But I think that it's not just that. It's not just what he could have faced in this upcoming sentencing. It's what would happen once Donald Trump is president of the United States and he has possibly an FBI director, an attorney general who is totally on board with the idea of going after Donald Trump's political enemies, including.
Okay, gotta stop you again there, Skippy. Because again, you're using words that are not accurate, because these would not be political enemies. These are people that used the rule of law to go after a former president in ways that has been unprecedented in our time that we have been a country. That's what this is. And if Kash Patel does that, I'm going to be applauding him the entire way. And if he manages to clean out and remove the cancer from our Department of Justice and from our FBI, I will be applauding that as well. And you know what? That's exactly what we're going to have to do for the first 2 years. We're going to need to put people in charge in these positions that are going to be willing to go in and uproot the cancer and remove it, because there is a cancer that has been spread all through our government and all through this experiment. And that's why they're fighting so hard to keep it that way, because there has been an experiment happening for quite some time about how easily they could get Americans to embrace things that are basically de facto communism. And they've been doing a pretty good job of it. They've been trying to tell you, you will own nothing and you will like it. People have been waking up to that because they're realizing what that means. This is why they don't want you to be able to buy a house anymore. This is why the middle class is disappearing. This is why they want you living with 5 or 6 different people if you're single to be able to even find somewhere to live. Because then you're focusing on your day-to-day needs and your survival and nothing else. These are the people that we're at war against. These are the people that we've been trying to warn you about. These are the people that so many of you for so long didn't even want to believe could have possibly been a problem. And now they've shown you exactly who they are within the last, 4 years in a way that none of us thought possible. To the point where we watched so many masks come off, even some of us that have been doing this for forever, our heads were spinning because even we couldn't keep up anymore. But everything that we've been trying to tell you guys about has been coming to pass right in front of our eyes, and enough of you woke up for now to at least temporarily stop it. So now all we need you to do is to stay strong. Don't start buying into the crap again, because the simple fact of the matter is they have been training you to distrust our institutions, our sacred institutions now for quite some time. And that's why we're trying to go in and clean them out. Because if we don't, I don't think you guys get what comes next. The first thing they do is they get you to distrust everything about this place that you once loved. Then they try to tell you that it's actually a terrible place and that it was all founded on injustice and all of the things that they've been cramming down kids' throats now for decades. And then there's a tipping point, and they tried the tipping point. In my estimation, they tried it too early, but COVID presented an opportunity to them, and they tried not to waste it, and they pulled the trigger too soon because they thought they saw a way to expedite what comes next. And they failed. And now a lot of people are awake. The question is, how long will they stay awake? I know as a member of Gen X, I joke all the time that we saved America, and now a lot of us are going back to sleep. I would not be one of them, even if they are, but I hope most of Gen X stays awake, at least the ones that aren't retarded. Because I've met a couple of retarded Gen X as I've been getting more traction on X. Sometimes I forget how much I don't really like being above what I call the thermal layer over there, because then you get to see all the crazy. If I'm in a certain level, normally all I really see are the people that I interact with all the time, and it's fun. And then I get to the point where I get above a certain threshold where everybody starts to be able to see me, and it's like, oh my God, I forgot you retards existed. But it is what it is, because X is another monetization point that I need to be able to get to on not just my main account, but 3 different accounts so that we can keep doing everything that we're trying to do here, because that's my plan. But I say all of this to you as far as what's been breaking news today, because anybody that's been listening to this show definitely should not have been surprised. Some of you are likely disappointed. Some of you are laughing. But you shouldn't have been surprised. So let's get into some articles about this. This is from Matt Vespa tonight on Town Hall. Wow. So I guess Nate Silver has weighed in. Kind of surprised to see this, actually. Hang on, let me put it on the screen for you guys. Should be up there now. And then we'll do that. All right. So why Joe Biden's pardoning of Hunter just led to a ton of libs eating crow. I haven't seen that, so I'll be curious. It happened. It was almost as predictable as Saquon Barkley having a monster year for the Philadelphia Eagles. Outgoing President Joe Biden decided to pardon his son, Hunter. The crack cocaine-addicted influence peddler was given a massive blanket pardon. He's now forgiven for any crime he committed between 2014 and 2024. So here come the tweets. So this is Philip Wegman about that pardon. It's a blanket Biden pardon. Wait, it's a blanket Biden pardoned Hunter for offenses he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 1st, 2014 through December 1st, 2024. So the sweeping language of the Hunter pardon mirrors the pardon Ford gave to Nixon, but Biden's covers twice as long of a period. Trump's pardons to Stone, Flynn, and Bannon were targeted at specific crimes convictions rather than timeframes. So this is from Breaking 911. Bullshit alert incoming. In June, Biden categorically ruled out a pardon or commutation for his son. We actually have the
I'm extremely proud of my son, Hunter. He has overcome an addiction. He's one of the brightest, most decent men I know. And I am satisfied that I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision. And I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
So that aged well. That aged about as well as my second wife. Because, yeah, he just did what he said he wasn't going to do. And you know what? That's my only problem with it. I don't care that he did it. I have expected him to do it. But don't lie to us. And, well, no, I'm not going to do that because that would violate everything that I've believed in and everything that I've worked toward. Blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what? Since they're trashing my legacy, I don't give a shit anymore. That's basically what that was. But again, I still am kind of viewing this from a different lens. I think this was yet another parting shot at the party that did him in at the last minute, Ides of March style. I really do. I still think it was primarily Joe that orchestrated it, not Joe, but I still think it was a parting shot at the party. All right, so here is another clip.
Yeah, and Jeff, of course, we don't have to remind people how close-knit this family is, and that Hunter is his only surviving son, that they are, of course, very, very close. And we've heard many stories about the last several years, how they talk daily and many times a day.
Yeah, like I said, the family that showers together. All right, so back to the article itself for a moment. Now, a horde of liberal commentators and reporters must eat crow after they slobbered over Biden's initial declaration that he wouldn't pardon his son. It's the moral high ground, the nauseating self-righteousness that infests every liberal. Former CNN reporter John Harwood had a Hall of Fame-worthy take followed by Mr. Biden. Whatever happened to no one is above the law? That's self-explanatory. Nate Silver's take on the development was pithy but accurate. It's the dealings of a selfish and senile old man. So, June 13th, 2024, Biden, and we already, it's basically the whole speech of, I'm proud of my son, blah, 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 blah. May 31st, 5:10 p.m., no one is above the law. And then this is from Defiant L's. Oh, I'm going to have some fun with this one. If you're not guilty, you don't need a pardon. This is from Brooklyn Dad Defiant. President Biden pardons son Hunter. Funny. That aged about as well as my ex-wife, too. I almost said Bunner Hyden. Oh, my God. Hunter Biden has been convicted on all 3 federal felony gun charges. I know one thing for sure. President Biden isn't going to pardon him or commute his sentence because President Biden believes no one is above the law. Not even a president or a president's son. Charlotte Clymer, step on down. Just saying. So this is from Nate Silver, right as this broke. The White House consistently lied about this. Biden's stubborn insistence on running for re-election was perhaps the single most important factor in Trump 2.0, and now he's kicking salt in the wound of the party brand he helped to destroy. Yeah, see? I'm telling you. I think he's doing it on purpose. So, yeah, I actually had to have a little bit of fun with this one, too. John Harwood. People who insist Biden will pardon Hunter after specifically ruling it out are telling on themselves. They can't imagine someone acting on principle and keeping his word. Oh. Oh, look, the Lincoln Project made it, too. So when MAGA cultists complain about a weaponized justice system, remind them that President Biden has refused to show favoritism towards his son because he has a commitment to the rule of law and our judicial system, regardless of who is involved. That was 7 p.m. June 6th, 2024. And I'm going to go troll the fuck out of them when I get off the air. Just saying. Oh, so Simone Sanders Townsend, good for the president and good for Hunter. And that was a quote tweet to statement from Biden pardoning his son. So let's watch this one.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
Is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
Dude, if I were KJP, I would not even show up to work tomorrow. If there's a press conference that happens tomorrow, I may break my own rule. Because I usually try to take at least one Monday a month completely off and don't do much of anything. But if there's a press conference that happens tomorrow, I may have to break my own rule because holy crap. Wow. Even Bonchi from Red State got into it. He lied to you, Jake Tapper. Does that bother you at all? Kate Hyde. Now that Hunter is pardoned, maybe the media can honestly report on all of his crimes. Oh, so Defiant L's. Oh my God, the human chihuahua made it into this mess. Harry Sisson. Hey, Donald, nobody's above the law in the United States. That was 11:30 a.m., 7/27/22. Breaking. President Biden has officially pardoned his son, Hunter. His full statement is below. I fully agree with this decision. 6:36 p.m., 12/1/2024. Somebody else I get to troll later. So Politico, White House, Biden won't pardon his son. That was looks like September 5th. And then today, Politico, Republicans pounce on Biden pardoning his son. Yeah. Biden isn't some moral beacon. He never was. And that's the truth. Sorry, liberals, but Biden is just like everyone else in Washington, except dumber and more dementia-ridden. And that is so true. I really thought it was going to be a slow news day. Tomorrow's going to be fun. I should have plenty of things to write about Twitchy Rise. It should be fun. Why am I not surprised? Al, I started calling them the Lincoln Log Project a long time ago because kids' toy. So, I know I did it to myself. I know there are rules. Unlike the Biden administration, we follow rules, and I did it to myself, so I got to do it.
Giggity, giggity, giggity goo. Stick around.
Okay, let's see what else we can get into. Man, we've only got 18 minutes left. I didn't even take a break. I was all worried about making sure I took a break because my throat's a little bit scratchy, but I think I'm going to be okay. Now that I've jinxed myself, we'll see. Let's see what else we can get into. Okay, so yeah, this is something that I do need to talk about, and it is kind of in the same vein of discussing hypocrisy, because look, I have been one of the few people that I know that has been pretty much behind President Trump getting whoever he wants for his picks, as far as who he's putting in charge of things. However, this is one that I kind of have to drag my feet on a little bit. So this is from Red State. Maybe President Trump should reconsider his selection for Drug Enforcement Administrative Chief. Saturday, President-elect Donald Trump announced the appointment of Hillsborough, Florida County Sheriff Chad Cronister as head of the Drug Enforcement Administration. No one is quite sure how Sheriff Christopher popped onto the radar. A lot of Florida alumni are showing up in Trump 2.0, and of course, Attorney General nominee Pam Bondi started her political career as a prosecutor in Hillsborough County. So here's the announcement from Gunther Eagleman. Breaking: Trump just nominated Sheriff Chad Cronister for the administrator of the Drug Enforcement Agency. In the cold light of the morning after, many things are surfacing that indicate Sheriff Cronister, no matter his competence as a law enforcement officer, may not be in sync with President Trump's vision for the federal government. So here he is doing a Pride Month booster.
In the month of June, we celebrate Pride Month. Hello, I'm Sheriff Chad Cronister, and this month we're celebrating equality, dignity, and self-affirmation no matter how we identify. At the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, we are proud to focus on the wonderful members of our law enforcement family that bring their many talents, skills, and varying viewpoints that help us serve, protect, and understand everyone who lives in Tampa Bay. We welcome diverse backgrounds, respect all people, and declare that love is what brings our community together. We wish everyone a wonderful month of Pride celebrations.
All right, so I will admit that one didn't bother me as much because Donald Trump has already been pretty much pro LGP, and even some T in some cases. So these don't surprise me as much. But so here's where we start having a problem. The right's gone way too far right for me, he says. So where does that leave a lot of Republicans, a lot of people? Chad Cronister, this is the next DEA head, a never Trumper, COVIDian wokester. And see, there's where my problem is. This is the guy who was going after people for trying to practice worship and pretty much doing all the things that I don't think people should have been doing with COVID. So he believes Republicans are too far right. When I ask him about all this, Cronister says he is the most Democratic of Republicans, a hybrid of both parties, fiscally conservative, socially Democrat. Actually, he was a Democrat until people convinced him you should have the same party affiliation as the sheriff for whom you work. He doesn't think of the office as partisan anyway. So and that was from, I guess, a Democratic donor. 8 reasons to think twice about voting for Chad Cronister for sheriff. Cronister is a flip-flopping opportunist. The former Democrat is running again as a Republican, but his background of support shows he is still a Democrat at heart. Cronister has given tens of thousands of dollars to Democrats, including $15,000 to Barack Obama for president and thousands to such assorted partisan Democrats, including Congress critter Charlie Crist, Mayor Jane Castor, and Congress critter Kathy Castor. Cronister has also contributed at least $5,000 to the Democratic National Committee. In short, for someone with an R after his name, he looks curiously like a wolf in sheep's clothing. He also openly supports DEI. So Major Alan Hill, who heads HCSO's District 2 Patrol Division, addressed the growing need for more dedicated men and women to join the agency at Seffner Chamber of Commerce luncheon earlier this year, noting that the agency wants to hire more minorities, women, and people from Hillsborough County. We have a lot of vacancies now, Hill said. Most of them are due to retirement because the sheriff's office grew substantially back in the late 70s and early 80s. It grew by leaps and bounds, and those individuals are starting to hit their retirement age. Now the void left by retirees is being filled by a younger, increasingly more diverse crowd of African Americans, Hispanic women, and military veterans, according to Lozada. Currently, 17% of all HCSO employees are African American, another 17% are Hispanic, 2% are Asian, and 34% are female. Last year, HCSO held its first Women in Law Enforcement job fair to encourage women to join the male-dominated sheriff's office. More than 250 women attended that event. Law enforcement is an occupation that females excel in, Hill said. I know it firsthand. When I started in this business, I was trained by one. So, again, that's not as much DEI-ish, at least not in the way that it's become, but it's still kind of a concern. Here's a big one for me. Apparently, he supports red flag gun confiscation. So the law has strong backing from 3 local sheriffs, notably all Republican. Cronister believes it has already kept something terrible from happening. You can never measure what you prevented, he said. Is it working? It absolutely is. Punished employees for no COVID vaccine. I put out a policy a while ago that if you are unvaccinated and you have to quarantine or you get ill, you have to use your own accrued time. If you are vaccinated and you get sick, the sheriff's office will cover your time off, said Chad Cronister. This is one of the ones I was talking about earlier. He arrested a pastor for holding service during lockdown. Perhaps the cherry on top of this massive flaming progressivism, otherwise known as a shit Sunday, that's my part, not the author's, is his ordering the arrest of a pastor for holding services during COVID's lockdown phase. So the full story is that Democrat State Attorney Andrew Warren Warren is a Soros-funded prosecutor who was removed from office by Rick DeSantis, issued the arrest warrant for holding services. Allegedly, he warned the pastor several times before authorizing his arrest. Governor DeSantis stepped in and shut down the order forbidding church services. He also apparently refused to stop BLM rioters. During the George Floyd riots of May 31st, 2020, he told his deputies to stand down and multiple buildings were burned down. Businesses, plazas were burned to the ground. The Walmart on Fowler in Tampa was completely looted. This refusal extended to the attack on the Hillsborough County Jail. At the height of Black Lives Matter riots, anarchists assembled at the Hillsborough County Jail on Orient Road and began to rip down the gate at the jail's Sally Port, where prisoners are brought into the facility. Jail deputies were ordered to stand down as they watched rioters destroy public property. None of the anarchists were arrested. One detention deputy at the jail told me it was ridiculous that we were not allowed to do anything and no one was arrested, and it has deeply affected morale. Apparently, he's also soft on immigration. A strong immigration law, Senate Bill 1718, went into effect on July 1st, 2023. Chronister doesn't seem to have been all that interested in it. We do not target individuals based on their immigration status. That's the authority of federal agencies. Our goal is to build trust and foster strong partnerships with all residents, regardless of backgrounds. It's a message that brought some relief to people concerned with the new immigration law. So the bottom line, if this is the kind of guy President Trump wants running the DEA, it is his right to nominate him. We are under no obligation to turn a blind eye to a guy with a record that looks very much like the people we want to get out of the federal government. I hope President Trump reconsiders this ill-considered nomination, but if he doesn't, I hope there's at least 4 GOP senators who will do what he won't. Oh, the problem is, well, I mean, so I guarantee you the ones that have been putting the Biden judges through will probably vote for that asshat. So hopefully there'll be some other folks that are just like, yeah, no, we're not doing this. Hopefully. Dang, we got 2:15 on an unannounced Sunday night. That's pretty damn good. I didn't even tell anybody we were doing it, so I'm kind of happy about that. All right, let's see what else we can get into real quick. Hang on. So this one I'm going to talk about real quick, but it's more of just a hit on it because I don't pay for the Daily Oklahoman and I refuse to give them any money. But I did notice today that according to the Daily Oklahoman, some people are kind of concerned about the potential mass deportations. And apparently, if I'm reading the headline correctly, because remember, I'm not paying to read their paper. According to the Daily Oklahoman headline, there are not only illegal alien students, there are illegal alien teachers. I would really like to talk to Superintendent Ryan Walters about that. Because if that's true, I has questions as an Oklahoman. Because I want to know how people who are illegally here are being allowed to interact with our children, if that's the case. So I do definitely have questions. We're going to be trying to get to the bottom of that because that's just terrible in my opinion. So one last quick hit on the way out the door because we got a few minutes, so we got to shut down. This is again from Red State. This is from Bob Hoge. And the leprechaun of the Potomac is back in the news. Fauci's final fail. New paper filled with errors debunk conspiracy theories. Why won't this man just go away? I've been asking that question for years. Former director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, NIAID, chief medical advisor to the president, and the face of the U.S.'s disastrous COVID response, Dr. Anthony Fauci still refuses to leave the stage. His latest paper, HIV, AIDS, and COVID-19 Shared Lessons from Two Pandemics, published on November 27th and written with researcher Gregory Folkers, is full of debunked claims and avoidance of his own accountability for the harmful mistakes made by the government when the pandemic hit. It wasn't me, the Fauci maintains. It was all Trump's fault. With COVID-19, the role of political leadership at the highest level, or the lack thereof, was again shown to be critical, the authors wrote. As COVID-19 exploded globally and in the United States, President Donald Trump frequently minimized the seriousness of this pandemic, repeatedly claiming that COVID-19 would just go away. And in the first full year of the pandemic, 2020, the last year of his presidency, he failed to use his bully pulpit to encourage people to use available low-tech tools such as masks, respirators, better ventilators, and physical distance to reduce the risk of infection. Right away, you see a problem, if you've been paying attention, that is. Masks were proven largely ineffective by numerous studies. Meanwhile, the 6 feet they pushed on us as some sort of scientifically based physical distance was basically pulled right from Fauci's dample yet low riding to the ground derriere. And he admitted as such in June. But Fauci wasn't done spreading the BS. Trump also gave credence to unproven and potentially dangerous substances for COVID-19 prevention, the treatment of such as bleach injections, which has been debunked, by the way, the anti-malarial hydroxychloroquine, and the anti-parasite drug ivermectin. Many of his hundreds of communications during the COVID-19 pandemic were missed opportunities for political leadership in promoting policies and practices to mitigate the impact of a raging pandemic. No, you mean to emphasize the ability to fatten your wallet, since you wanted him pushing your little pet project that's $4,000 a dose that you own stock in. The problem, the Trump promoted bleach injections garbage storyline has been debunked so many times it's got bruises. Oh, and there's a clip. Well, I would say there's a clip, but I didn't put this on the screen. So Fauci inexplicably decided to embarrass himself for what I can only hope is one last time by promoting the natural origin theory of the COVID virus, which even the corrupt media has mostly given up on. After years of lying and censoring alternative viewpoints, I remember in the early days of the lockdown thinking there was a huge virus lab in a Chinese city and a killer new bug emerges there, and we're not even supposed to ask if there's a link? Not even the possibility? Really? That's where we're going? Just saying. So if a new chocolate disease suddenly breaks out in Hershey, Pennsylvania, wouldn't it be natural to wonder if it had something to do with the, huge chocolate factory there? Except I don't think Hershey's made in Hershey anymore. I think it's made in Mexico. Which saddened me when I read something about that recently. I was like, really? That's sad. Make Hershey and Hershey, make Hershey bars in Hershey again. That should be a Trump slogan. How stupid do they think we are? They proved how stupid they thought we were when they stole an election in 2020 and we let them get away with it. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Did I say the quiet part out loud again? My bad. Again, look at the graph. There's actual evidence now. The only outlier in the last 5 elections was 2020. Everything else has been pretty close as far as numbers, the people that show up. There's a little bit more leaning one way than the other. But there's none of this, oh my God, there's 14 million more people that voted last time. We don't know where they went. So the paper also shows that abundant evidence from top evolutionary virologists and leading scientists in other fields strongly suggests that the virus jumped species from an animal reservoir to humans in the Hunan market in Wuhan, China, and then spread through China and the rest of the world. It's the bats, man. The bats did it. The bats are trying to kill us, man. Come on, man. Just be like Biden and just fade away into the darkness. National Review contributor Pradeep Shankar could only shake his head. Yeah, he quoted the whole thing and just basically said, oy vey. As we wrap up Thanksgiving weekend, remember that this is the guy who said you should throw your family under the bus over a hastily developed mRNA vaccine that doesn't even prevent you from getting COVID. As we get ready to go out, we might as well finish with this. I just realized I didn't do that right because I don't have it on the screen for you guys. One moment, please, and I will fix. I got ahead of myself. I do that a lot. I would fire my producer, but my producer is me, and if I fire him, the show goes away.
If someone in your family isn't vaccinated, should you ask them not to show up?
Yes, I would do that. I mean, I think we're dealing with a serious enough situation right now that if there's an unvaccinated person, I would say, I'm very sorry, but not this time, maybe another time when this is all over.
If some
Hey, Dr. Fauci. How about fuck you and the My Little Pony you rode in on, bro? All right, that's going to do it for this particular episode of America Off the Rails. We're back to our regular time. I'll see you guys doing this one next week, 10 p.m. Eastern. Be back Tuesday doing the Rick Robinson Show from noon to 3. Again, that's Tuesday through Friday between the hours of noon to 3 p.m. Also, Tuesday night, I'll be back doing Manorama, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here, simulcast on KLRM Radio. Also over on Manorama, Rancor Steve's channels on YouTube and Rumble. Wednesday night, as far as I know, we should have Full Boat again, so that kicks off. I haven't decided what I'm doing with the 7 o'clock hour yet because Stacy and I had to move for a little bit while she figures out her schedule. So we may just start at 8. I haven't decided yet. So that should be 8 through 1 o'clock in the morning Eastern because everything should be back to normal. And then Thursday night back with Jen and Rick, 10 p.m. Eastern. Friday night back doing He Said, She Said with the lovely Aggie Rican, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And Saturday night is a juxtaposition night. When I'm not doing all that, you can find me as a contributor on twitchy.com, misfitspolitics.com, and theloftusparty.com. And I also drop their podcast, which posts usually on Tuesdays, usually before about 9 or 10 p.m. 9 or 10 a.m. in the morning, depending on whether I have weather-related issues or not. All right, we're a little bit long. Bye, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday night. Thanks for hanging out.
Screw you guys. I'm going home. Later. Game over, man. It's game over.
Say goodnight, Gracie.